Hey, I'm Jamey from Stonemaier Games, and today I'm going to talk about my favorite mechanism in the game Diatoms. I believe it's pronounced Diatoms. Maybe it's Diatoms. I'm not sure. I'll probably say Diatoms just in case. In a year of beautiful games, really in a decade of beautiful games, Diatoms is one of the most beautifully produced games, and I have the standard version from Kickstarter that I've seen in a long time. You can see from the box, multiple different types of foil on the box. This intricate silver foil and gold foil. It looks beautiful. It looks stunning. It feels amazing. There's so many beautifully crafted components in this, from the dual layered player mats on which, hopefully you can see that, on which you're slotting in little tokens, to this, it's not a magnifying glass, but it is important to the game with foil on it as well, gold foil, to each player having their own beautifully designed score pad here. It's one of those score pads that you think will be complicated, and then you realize that it tells you all the information. It lets you note all the information that you possibly need. You don't have to remember anything or calculate it in your head. To the Petri dishes that have little foil tokens in them. These are the cardboard versions. Again, this is the standard version of the game, and it is stunning. And then even all the way down to the colorblind friendliness on the colors in the game, which actually makes a big difference. The foil sometimes can make the colors a little bit hard to see, but the dual coating makes that really easy to work around. From start to finish, I mean, this is, even the reference guides. Every player gets their own little reference book, which you think will be overwhelming. I played another game this year that came with a book as a reference guide, and it was too much. This actually works beautifully because each page focuses on a specific type of scoring, and it's only taking up so much space because it goes into detail with a great example of how that scoring works. For example, this is one of the base judging criterias. You need symmetric pairs on lines, which is one of the great things about this game. You're trying to make symmetry out of this abstract puzzle that you're making. And this describes it, and it gives you a detailed example. So while you're playing the game, if you need to kind of remind yourself of how you work, you just flip to your little book and you figure it out. These are beautifully crafted. Start to finish. Absolutely stunning production, and the game holds up to it. I had a great time playing my first 4-player game of Diatoms. My coworker Susanna was gracious enough to teach us, and we had a great time. The game flowed really well. It played exactly as long as I think this game should play. And every decision was a difficult one. I guess I should say what you're doing in this game. In this game, you are acquiring tokens from these Petri dishes of different shapes and colors, and you are putting them on your player mat. And with the base scoring, you're trying to do one of three. We're trying to really do 3 different things. One is you're trying to have different shapes within each circle. You have 3 different concentric circles. You want ideally 5 different shapes within each circle. You're trying to have symmetry. So along these lines, I'm trying to have, like, if I have a square red token here, I'm also trying to have a square red token here, or at least a red token, or at least a square token. And then just in general, you're trying to have at least 5 or 8 of each color. You're not going to meet all those goals for every color and every shape, but those are the goals that you're pursuing in the game. There's also additional layers that you can add to the game, some other special scoring that you can add. But even with that core game, it was very easy to teach and play, and I thought it was a really satisfying experience. Now, my favorite mechanism, I think, is tied to the fact that you are building your own board here, your own beautiful pattern. No one can disrupt what you're doing here. You can focus on it. In fact, when you gain tokens, you have until your next turn to actually place them. So everyone else isn't waiting for you to place them. You have plenty of time to place them. You don't feel like you're rushing them. They're not rushing you. I really like that. So you're building your own thing, but there is still plenty of player interaction from the common pool of tiles that you're making. You're making a display of tiles that fit together. These are some of the tiles in the game. So on my turn, I will need to place a tile, adding it to this growing tableau in the middle of the table that everyone can place tiles on, matching colors if possible. Right, not just if possible. If there is a color, you need to match it. So I could not put a blue next to this purple. I would need to put a purple next to it. And when you do that, you create an intersection of 3 tiles, and that's where this magnifying glass comes in. You put that there, and this tells you which shape token you're going to grab from the bag. So in this circle, let's see if I can actually see it. I think there's 3 different purple shapes that are touching this apex, and so I would gain a purple triangle from this Petri dish, and then I would place that on my mat. But you can gain multiple tokens at the same time. Sometimes you can even place a tile in such a way that you can gain. You can create 2 different apexes and get tokens from each of those apexes. I guess it's a little awkward to explain out loud, but on the table, it was very easy to teach and learn. So I love that there was this interactive space. We were all collectively building this central tile area to claim tokens. And then once we claimed the tokens, we were doing our own thing on our player mat. I think the best abstract games do this, like Azul. Azul has a common pool from which you're drafting, but then you're doing your own creative thing on the player mat. The combination of those two things, I think, works really well in abstract games, and it works beautifully in Diatoms. Yeah, as you can tell, I had a really, really good first impression of this game. I can't wait to share it with other people. I can't wait to play it again and try to solve the puzzle in a different way, depending on what tiles are available. And really just, it's a joy to have on the table because of how good it looks and feels and how easy it is to understand thanks to these reference guides that are in the game. Yeah, I had a great time. I highly recommend it. If you enjoy abstract games, I highly, highly recommend Diatoms. And yeah, my favorite mechanism, as I mentioned, is this duality between what you're building and what you have complete control over versus this common pool of tiles that all players have a small impact over, or really a large impact over. Yeah, that's my favorite mechanism. Let me know your thoughts if you've played this or if you've played a game like it in the comments below. I'd love to hear about that. Thanks.